Hey, Sean here from SpeedQBview.com. I have basically done my month of Roux, but I'm going to do another month because it's progressing to a point where I want to keep it going and see where it goes after 2 or 3 months. Now, I did a month of Roux a few years back, and I haven't really done too much since then, but I did ZZ, and I got almost close to the same times I did with CFOP within a month. Roux, I didn't really come that close. It was like low 20s. I had some solves in the teens, but I struggled a bit more with that. And so I want to go over what I did differently this time. And if you're thinking about trying Roux for a month, what you need to do, and so you don't make the same mistake I did. Now, there is a difference in my ability in the past few years. I've practiced a lot of block building. My times aren't actually that different on CFOP, but I've done a lot of block building and understand how the cube functions a bit. So obviously there is that difference, and there's not a big thing that you can do besides just practicing other things and time. However, the most important thing to remember with Roux that makes it a really special method compared to CFOP is the move count, even compared to ZZ. So you're averaging with Roux in the 40s, which CFOP's more around 60. And that is what you really need to focus on with Roux. So when I did Roux before, I was trying to have a lower move count. However, I did often just put down the cross edge and insert pieces with F2L. Because of that, the move count wasn't that much lower. I also didn't know full Cmll. Now, if you don't know the steps of Roux, don't worry about that just yet. I'm going to redo a full tutorial later on, but Cmll are the only real sets of algorithms you need to know. Okay, so for example, for Cmll, if I had something like this, if I was doing OLL, I would just do F sexy move or inverse sexy move twice, F prime, and that would give me this PLL. However, that's not going to be what we would do that's most efficient, because then the corners are not even done. For Cmll, we just want to solve the corners. Now, the way I set this up, this is going to actually solve everything. So maybe I shouldn't have set it up like that. But, and it's different from COLL, because with COLL, the corners would not be affected. So for example, if I had this case and I was doing COLL, it's quite a bit longer algorithm, but it does not affect the edges. So we get that algorithm. But if we're not worried about edges, let's say we have, something very different, we can do a much simpler algorithm that has the exact same case. Okay, so I think what I'm just going to do is go through a single solve. Again, this is not the full tutorial, but to show you what to focus on if you want to try doing Roux. I mean, in a nutshell, it's focusing on being efficient. But let's talk through a solve so we can talk about what we need to do and why that's important. So the first thing is making the first block. If you're starting out, be x2, y color neutral. And what that means is x2, meaning yellow or white on top, doing an x2 move, or y, which is putting any color in front. The reason for that is if you have any pair made, so let's say like this, if you have a pair, it doesn't matter what pair it is, wherever. You can use it for any first block if you're x2, y color neutral. So let's say this one is already made. We'll just start right here. And we could put this here, which means we just have to solve this edge first. And actually, we could do a few different things. So for example, yeah. So to solve this, I'm actually going to make a bar down here, solve these edges, so fix that one right there, and then I'm just going to be tracking where that orange edge is, which is right here right now. So if I put this in like that right there, I can take this out, and now I've made that block, and that orange edge actually got put right here. A lot of times for Roux, people will just put down this cross edge unless you have a really nice way of making a block. So for example, making, a block like that. You could do that, but it's a little hard to look ahead that way. But you can see as I'm doing this, I'm not trying to just do CFOP, I'm building blocks. And this is what the biggest mistake I made the first time was I focused on just trying to go fast instead of being efficient. So for here, I wasn't watching where that edge was, so I had to take a peek at it. And I'm going to insert this. And so now I made those first two blocks in quite few moves. So then we have this case, which for here, I just do soon twice, so it's not the shortest algorithm, but it can be performed fairly quickly. Okay, so yeah, on that note, I do suggest trying to learn Cmll as fast as possible. I'll have a video on that if it's not already out on how I ended up learning it in one day, but I'll go over that in that video. Just learn Cmll, or at least realize what you could do with the final corners. So what I mean by that is if I have this, so this looks a little bit wacky, but this case with these two corners having the same color and these having opposite colors, this is just Roux. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. For the edges, I also suggest trying to do EOLR from the get-go. What that means is normally for Roux, you would do EO, so I'd orient these edges, then I'd insert the left and right edges, which are red and orange, and then I'd do the last four. EOLR orients them and then puts those edges on bottom so you can just do an M2 to solve them. Sometimes you cancel right into that, but that's a little more difficult. Being able to look at this and plan that out. Now, I'm not great at it at the moment. I know that if I just do what I normally would, it's going to put the red here, but then solve orange, which it's not really going to work out too well. And there are cases that are not super efficient. So for this one, just because I'm not super fast at that, I might do something like this, just put the red back there. But that's still going to kick that out, so it's not really what we want. But general rule, you want to try to get Cmll, so you don't need to do a ton of moves like that to get it into place. And then being efficient with those last ones. So just an example, I'm just going to mix these up randomly so we can try a different Cmll. Okay, so here I've got those ones set. Now this could actually work pretty well. So instead of just solving these like normal and then putting orange down here and then fixing it, we could put red back there, doing like this. There we go. And then just line orange up, solve them, and then go on to the last four edges. That tends to sometimes balance out. But if you look at my times, you'll see, at least what I have currently, that it started and didn't really move too much for a couple hundred solves. It was around like 30 to 40, but then dropped drastically because I started being able to get comfortable being efficient. And then it kind of stayed around the mid-20s for a little bit because I started working on EOLR and had to slow down a bit more. That is where I failed the first time. I was so focused on trying to just be fast that I wasn't trying to be efficient, which in the end, efficiency is the biggest part of Roux that makes it really good as a speed solving method. So I'll have links below to other tutorials. The Roux tutorial will be later on, so if you're watching this right away and you want to check out the tutorial, it'll be my old one below. I'll have a link to other places like Kian's Cmll PDF, which is what I used for a lot of that, and I'll kind of show you what I did for that in the Cmll video. So thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and as always, stop by speedcubeview.com for more news and reviews. Algorithms you need to know, and should I keep this going? I think I'm gonna stop. Well, a lawnmower just kicked up, so I think I'm gonna switch to a different view and finish this video later on. and throw this at the end so you can see why that suddenly all shifted.